Overpaying for anything sucks, especially socks, so why pay $45 for a single pair of grip socks when you can spend less than half? Pure Grip Socks Pro feature our best materials for optimal fit, moisture wicking, and performance at a fair price, just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
It's 2006 and football boots are changing. Nike is seeing huge success with their Mercurial Vapor series, and really the concept of a synthetic speed boot with a super slim profile and tight fit is very much catching on, as uncomfortable as the football boots are. Along with this evolution in synthetic football boots, Nike is also pushing the boundaries when it comes to leather boots, which kind of dominated the market at that point in time, releasing kind of a modern take on a classic leather football boot in the Nike Tiempo Air Legend 1, a football boot that was wildly successful. 1 year later, and Adidas decided to respond with their own take on the Nike Tiempo by releasing the adiPure, a football boot that followed the same concept of incorporating a more modern sole plate and stud pattern with the bladed TRX studs from the Predator series, and combining that with a very simple, clean, and as the name would suggest, pure kangaroo leather upper. Simple styling, super shiny leather. Honestly, one of the best looking football boots Adidas has ever produced. And now just 14 years later, it's back in remake form. Ladies and gentlemen, the Adidas adiPure remake as part of the new Legends pack, a football boot that features a one-to-one remake of that adiPure upper in kangaroo leather, and paired up with an interesting choice of sole plate in that it's no longer a current Adidas model. It's the sole plate and stud pattern taken from the now discontinued Nemeziz, bearing a retail price of $250. Now, of course, this is a limited edition release, which means the price is always going to be a little bit higher, but it's worth noting that given the adiPure was released to compete against the Tiempo back in 2007, it is $20 more expensive in remake form when compared to the modern Tiempo Legend 9. It's also $25 more expensive than Adidas's own Copa Sense Point 1 and $25 less expensive than the current Copa Sense Plus. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is because at $250, it's about what you're going to pay for most modern day top-end models that are readily available, which of course begs the question, are they actually worth it, and should you choose the adiPure remake over other leather football boots that are currently on offer? That and more, including how they fit and feel on feet, in today's video. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire review. And if you are interested in a pair of adiPure remakes before they're gone, you can actually pick them up below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. So first things first, I would once again like to congratulate Adidas for being the king of remakes. Being that this is a football boot that came out 14 years ago, if you just inspected the upper, it would be very difficult to tell that's the case, because they go through all of the trouble of making it as accurate to the original as they possibly can, from the materials used, the stitching pattern, all the little details like the adiPure button here on the side that actually sticks out quite far and is really hard. So if you got hit with the ball right on that spot, I actually think that would hurt quite a bit. You have the little pull tab on the back, the little perforations for the Adidas logo on the back of the heel as well. The one thing I will say is it's not an original colorway, which is not necessarily a big deal because I think the black, white, and gold that they've gone for actually looks quite good. But I will say that I really wish they would have gone for that super shiny, almost wet finish to the leather upper itself. I think that was such a big part of the signature look of the adiPure model that this one doesn't have. And then of course from the side profile, not having the same studs does change the overall look of the boot, but when you're actually wearing them and standing in the grass, that's not quite as noticeable. If you're trying to fool people into thinking that you're wearing a pair of adiPure ones, these are definitely going to do that and do it quite well. As for the performance side of things, even though the adiPure 1 upper is now 14 years old, it's a football boot that does hold up well because it's so simple. It's just plain kangaroo leather with some reinforcement by way of some synthetic material for the Adidas stripes through the midfoot. But other than that, the high quality kangaroo leather is soft, it's flexible. I think the thickness is just right in that it's on the thinner side, but not so thin to the point where you don't feel the padding of the leather. It's obviously a little bit slick on the surface because there's no added grip elements whatsoever. And then of course that nice deep central lacing system allows for a really nice wrap through the midfoot in particular. But of course, being that it is full leather and doesn't have a lot of reinforcement other than a nylon liner and those Adidas stripes, you're going to find that it's not the best in terms of overall lockdown as well as overall responsiveness, especially when you're talking about the rear area of this boot, which we'll get into in just a second. As far as the tongue is concerned, it's kind of interesting in that it's leather down the middle, leather at the top, but then along the sides, it's made from this really soft, almost structureless knit material. I don't know how to describe it, and I'm not sure if it's the same as the original. Unfortunately, I do not have a pair of OG adiPures on hand, and I never actually had a pair back in the day, so I can't compare them to the originals, but I'm pretty sure that's not something that the OG would have had. Nonetheless, on this remake, it feels quite good, and I don't think it hurts the overall experience of feeling like you're wearing a pair of adiPures from 2007. If you like a plain leather football boot made from high quality leather, that's exactly what this football boot has on offer from a touch, feel, and experience perspective. Where things do go a little bit downhill, however, is through the heel area, where you'll notice that this has a very low cut. It's almost cut straight along the sides and back, where it doesn't dip down very far and it doesn't come up very high at the back. It actually has a very shallow shape to the heel where you don't actually sit that deep in the football boot. A lot of your heel that would normally be covered up is left exposed, and given the heel liner being this really smooth synthetic leather material that's actually kind of slippery, and the minimal padding that they've gone for, it just has one of those shapes where if your heel isn't exactly the same shape as this, you're gonna have some issues with lockdown, and you might even have some issues with slippage, where for me personally, I just didn't find this to be very secure, and I didn't find it to be very comfortable, which is a common complaint that I've heard about the adiPure over the years. It's cool that they kept it true to the original, but I think if anything, making this back piece a little bit higher and adding some padding in there would have dramatically improved the overall experience and certainly the fit of the OG adiPure 1, but again, they stayed true to the remake, so it is what it is. If you like the fit in the heel of the original adiPure, you're gonna love it here on the remake. I'm just not as big a fan. Then the insole is fully removable, and it's pretty much what you would expect, a standard Adidas insole, in that it features this really soft lining on the surface, and it's made from a single layer of black foam. As for the base of these boots, you're going to find somewhat of an unusual choice in the Torsionframe sole plate and stud pattern taken from the now discontinued Adidas Nemeziz line, and I checked the production date on the tag, which happens to be July 2021. I'm not sure if they just had some extra Nemeziz sole plates and decided to use them on this remake rather than taking what I think would kind of be the more logical choice in what is now kind of a continuation of the adiPure series in the Copa Sense line. They could have used that Copa Sense sole plate and stud pattern, but nonetheless, I actually think this is better than what's on offer from the Copa Sense, and I think it's better suited for what they've done here with this adiPure 1 upper, in that it's got good flexibility to it, which I think matches the upper and its overall flexibility as well. And then the stud pattern, which it's not the same bladed stud pattern as the original adiPure. Adidas really doesn't make anything like that anymore, unfortunately, but these kind of half circle shaped studs do give you a little bit of a bladed feel to them, and I guess it's more on the aggressive side versus what you're going to get currently from the Copa Sense layout. So even though it's kind of a weird combination of sole plate and upper, I actually think it works quite well given that this is supposed to be as close to the original adiPure as possible. It's not my favorite sole plate and stud pattern, but it certainly gets the job done. Which brings us to the weight, where the remake is definitely lighter than the OG, and I think that's mostly down to the sole plate that they've used. Not so much to the design, because I don't think this is anything groundbreaking, but you have to realize there's been pretty significant advancements in plastic from 14 years ago, where it's just gotten much stronger and much lighter, therefore benefiting the overall weight of this version of the adiPure 1. In a size 9.5 US, you can see the boots weigh in at 7.65 ounces, the equivalent of 217 grams, which is very lightweight, on par with just about every top-end model that's currently available outside of the speed category. And if we're comparing this to the Tiempo Legend 9 that it's competing against, it's just a couple grams heavier and actually significantly lighter than both the Copa Sense 0.1 and Copa Sense Plus, which would again technically be the modern take on the adiPure from the Adidas brand. How that makes any sense at all, it doesn't. So here they are on feet, where of course they look incredible. I've always been a big fan of the adiPure 1 design. The one thing I will point out is it does seem like the tongue comes up a little bit higher at the front than what I remember seeing on the majority of adiPure 1s back in the day. But then I also remember seeing pictures of Kaká wearing these and having the tongue sit a little bit higher than most other people's did. So maybe they made them more like his than the original. I'm not exactly sure there. Nonetheless, the feel of the leather is incredible on feet. I think the overall shape of the boot works really well with the Nemeziz outsole. Again, I can't really compare it to the original adiPure from a fit perspective because I never actually had a pair and I've never worn a pair of OGs, but these fit really well with that nice deep central lacing system and the standalone floating tongue. What I don't care for as much is the heel. It's cut very shallow at the back and along the sides where it doesn't feel like your heel is necessarily going to slip out, but the lack of padding lower in the heel just doesn't feel very good. It's almost like you're sitting directly against the internal plastic heel counter, and then there's just pressure along the outside edge where they have actually added some padding. With grip socks, I think it's tolerable. Without grip socks, I just feel too much slippage in the heel area to the point where I wouldn't say they're unwearable, but it's just not something that I would want from a pair of football boots in 2021. Certainly for $250 that these cost. I'm also noticing quite a bit of flaring here at the sides of the ankle, which is again, not detrimental to the feel or experience, but something that when I look down on my feet, I just don't love the look of that. For me, the heel is the major letdown here on the adiPure 1, as it was for a lot of people with the original. So cool that they kept it so true to the OG, but I definitely think they could have made some significant improvement without hurting the overall look of the football boot. From a width perspective, I think these are going to be wide enough to fit just about everybody, especially with the leather upper. They're going to stretch as you wear them in. And again, the base shape I think is pretty straightforward, and they did a really good job with that. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US. And the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, is the adiPure remake cool? Sure it is. Is it better than the current offerings from Adidas in the Copa Sense 0.1 and Sense Plus? Absolutely. I would much rather wear these, even with the issues with the heel that are not as significant as the issues with the heel on the current Copa Sense lineup. Nonetheless, would I pick these over the modern Tiempo Legend 9 Elite? No. I was trying to come up with something clever there, but no, they're just not better. I've always been a big fan of the look of the adiPure 1, and even without the super shiny finish to the leather, I still think these look really cool, cooler than any of the boots that I just talked about. But for $250, given the issues with the fit and overall comfort through the heel in particular, it just wouldn't be my pick for $250 or less. I think if you had a pair of OG adiPure 1s and they're your all-time favorite boots, by all means, pull the trigger and grab yourself a pair of these remakes. But if you're buying these on the hope that they're going to be the greatest leather football boot that you can buy right now in 2021, that's not exactly the case. And if you just really want a pure leather football boot experience where budget is not an option, I would very strongly recommend spending a little bit more and getting a pair of made in Japan Mizuno Morelia 2s. They're really cool football boots, but for me, just didn't live up to the hype.